After failing to pick up any scholarships after 3 years of playing as a high school quarterback, Devin Waters and his coach decided it was for the best that he gave the defensive side of the ball a chance for a last-second heave at a scholarship. Devin would go on to ball out his senior season as a first-time safety, and off of pure potential alone, he would land some Division I offers where he would then later narrow down to 5 different schools. After Kansas State, his ultimate dream school would only offer him the second-string role. He would end up sticking in his home state and would swap over to Kansas to play football for the Jayhawks and become the early starting safety. Staying in Kansas and locking in the starting role on signing day has made Devin feel at home and even boosted his confidence in the offseason camp to keep on evolving his game as a defensive back at the next level. And after a long summer, we would have our first collegiate game taking on a small level FCS school where we could show off our talents. Our defense would initially come out strong, and after mainly feeling idle in the first quarter, Devin would get his first tackle on a hit against the opposing quarterback. But on the next play, on a 3rd and 19, the quarterback would welcome us to the big leagues as they connect on a big play and pick up the first down. Our coach was trying to see what we could do on defense all game long, throwing us not only in man coverage, but we were asked to play in the middle of the field as we were flying to the rock every single chance that we had. But finally, after them having a great drive, we were actually able to get a sack and close this drive on out with 0 points. This game is very defensive. Sitting at 3-0 in the third quarter, Devin Waters is going to still play amazing and try to keep the touchdowns off this board as he lays his biggest hit of his career. The Midwest team would not end up moving the ball until we were already up 10 points with 50 seconds remaining. They would actually get all the way to the 1-yard line and then later punch it in for a touchdown, but it was just way too late. Although we didn't end up with the craziest stat line, we would go on to win our first game ever at the college football level. But in our next game, we would start off super hot on the first play of the game, getting sent off the edge and even landing our first sack ever. This first defensive drive of the game could not have went any better for our guy Devin Waters as he makes another tackle and forces a punt on a big 4th and 20. Our offense would continue to struggle, only having 3 points after 2 drives, but Devin Waters would show off his true hustle all game long on the defensive side of the ball. On a 3rd and 10, they would end up running the ball and we would lay our biggest hit yet of the season, and this would force a shutout before halftime. We would coast all the way to the 4th quarter with a 3-3 game and our offense still struggling, but later in the game, Rice would just chuck the ball on up to our other safety side, and the wide receiver got behind the defense, and they finally score a touchdown. Our offense would even turn the ball over right away, and once again, they are in our side of the field, and they are going to continue to dot us up all game long, and they are already inside the 10-yard line. Where they would later then just run the ball to the outside and punch it on a free touchdown, and that would end up being the game for Kansas as we would go on to take our first loss of the season. After losing the next 2 games as well, Kansas would fall to 1-3 on the year, but it wouldn't get much easier for our team as we would be taking on one of the best offenses in the nation from TCU. Just like our last game, we would blitz off the edge on the first play of the game and even force a sack to our defensive end, and then we would get a stop on 3rd and 13 and get an easy punt. Even on the second drive of this game, we continued to ball out, flocking to the ball every chance that we had, having a big hit on the quarterback, and we almost folded him into a lawn chair. But on the next play, our team was sending the heat up the middle, and the quarterback would force a terrible ball underneath, and our middle linebacker would get an interception and return it all the way. Nope, gets tackled at the 1-yard line. Our offense would go on to try to punch it in from the 1-yard line, but we would struggle every single play getting tackled behind the line of scrimmage, and we would end up having to settle for 3 off of a terrible, terrible offensive drive. TCU found themselves starting at midfield basically after a huge kick return, but we weren't going to have any of that as we would land a big hit stick on the quarterback after he scrambled up the middle. Devin would get taken out of the game for a couple plays after the big hit, and after coming back in, they were already on our 25-yard line, and after another big play, they found themselves really close to the end zone, but we're not going to allow them on this play, destroying him right before the goal line. But unluckily on the next play, Josh Hoover would scramble to our side of the field and he would end up beating us to the goal line and we would allow the first touchdown of the game. With the game remaining close late in the 3rd quarter, our coach would send us on a blitz, but we got there a tad bit late and they would hit Quentin Johnson on the sideline for a huge throw and it would end up being a touchdown, and now they lead by 8. Our coach would elect for our offense to play the time game and try to make this last possession of the game, and our quarterback was playing amazing all quarter long, and he even hit a dot to tie this game on up, but we still had to get that 2-point conversion. After an extension of the play, our quarterback would throw it to our wide receiver, and he would go on to drop it, and that would be our 4th loss of the season, and this season is just going downhill. After now moving over to our hardest opponent of the season, we would be taking on the number 14 ranked Oklahoma Sooners, where we would find ourselves pinned in the goal line already, and they would have a big play that would get them inside the 5-yard line. The way our offense plays, we need to get a stop right here and hopefully force them to 3, but the quarterback would hit a check down to JJ Hester, and they already have a 7-point lead. Our offense would actually go on to score a touchdown, and sitting at 7-7, we're going to make a huge hit right here in the 3rd quarter to force another punt, and we need some more points on the board if we want to win this game. Moving to mainly running the ball in their next drive, Oklahoma would still struggle as we were destroying every single option play they threw on the field and even chasing down runs from behind them on normal run plays. After getting them into a 3rd and 1 situation, they would hit a dot over the middle, and we would later land a hit stick, but they started to heat on up as every single play was a minimum of 5 yards after that. But after our D tackle got a sack, we are now in a 3rd and 6, and they would call a halfback draw, and we would end up cleaning it up, and we need our offense to put up points if we want to win this game here. But yet again, our offense would go 3 and out, and we have to get another stop on this elite offense against Oklahoma, and our defense is definitely looking good. Playing against a top 15 school in the nation and playing our best game of the season is definitely going to draw a lot of eyes on us, and we're proving why we are one of the best safeties in the country as we force our first fumble of the season, and Devin Waters is truly feeling himself in this game. But on a 3rd and 13, the quarterback would just check it underneath and fall short of the first down marker, but our defense would get an offsides penalty on the punt, and we would still clean it up on a 4th and 1, and that would be our best play yet in the college career. Our offense was literally not able to move the ball at all this game after that one drive, and we were just continuing to get stops all game long, and then getting a stop on a 3rd and 24. This game looks like it's going to overtime. Now sitting in overtime on a 2nd and 13, we would get a big stop on the running back, forcing a passing situation where we would clear the running back short of the first down marker and hold this offense to a field goal, and now all we have to do is score a touchdown to win the game. Our quarterback would end up taking over in overtime, taking a read option, not only for a first down, but all the way inside the 5-yard line, where he would later throw the game-winning touchdown, and we just took out the number 14 ranked team. Even when the lights are the brightest, Kansas did end up showing up, and Devin Waters had his best game of the season yet with 12 total tackles, 5 of those for a loss, and even forcing a fumble. But fast forwarding into our next matchup, we're down 3 against Texas, and that's not going to stop Devin Waters, as he's going to have a huge play in the backfield against the quarterback on a scramble, and then on the next play, he's going to panic and throw a pick 6 all the way to the end zone. This is our first defensive touchdown of the year. After scouting and watching a lot of film, we were ready for this triple read option they were running all game, as we would blow up the quarterback in the backfield, and this is looking to be another big matchup for our guy. But the two-headed beast of Roschon Johnson and Bijan Robinson was one of the hardest backfields in the league to stop, as we could not stop this run game at all going into the second quarter. With little to no hope on the goal line, they would just hand the ball off to Bijan Robinson, and that would be the easiest touchdown of his career. But with our offense putting up a touchdown, we actually sit up with a lead in the 3rd quarter, and forcing the quarterback up in the pocket, we would even end up forcing a sack. And on the very next play, we would have a chance one-on-one with Bijan Robinson in the hole, and we would end up coming out victorious as we lay him out. Remaining aggressive on 3rd and 12, we would blitz off the edge and force the quarterback to move to his left side of the field, and we would actually end up getting our first safety of the year as well. Our offense would put a field goal on the board, and now there's only a minute and 30 seconds remaining, and Texas has little to no chance at all of winning this game. But after we get burned right here, our other safety would help us, forcing a fumble, and that would be the game. After having an all-around solid game, we would go on to beat now our 2nd-ranked opponent in a row. With our season in the mud and us having already 4 losses, we could still upset Iowa State, as they are currently undefeated and sitting in a prime position to make in the college football playoffs. We want to upset that. With all the eyes on this game, watching the number 1 seed, we want to prove to everybody that we are one of the best safeties in the entire nation, as we were making hit sticks all over the field long and flying to the ball, as we almost saved this 3rd and 3, but he falls for a first. But after holding this Iowa State offense to 0 points in the first quarter, the second quarter is where they really turned it on, throwing dots in the end zone, and now they have a 7-point lead. We couldn't stop the bleeding in this one, as this quarterback was on absolute fire, hitting throws over the middle and also hitting them on the outside of the field. This dude was unstoppable. Quarterback would play us with his eyes, using our aggressiveness against us. He would dot us as we bite on an underneath route, and they have a wide open touchdown to take a 2-possession lead. Our offense was not fighting back as well, but this quarterback is just literally unstoppable as he throws another dime over the middle and then does it again on the next play, and they were about to score once again before halftime. Then the quarterback would once again throw another laser, and we would go on to lose this game by over 30 points, and we had no chance being in that game. With a devastating blowout loss to the Cyclones, the Kansas Jayhawks wouldn't even receive an invite to any bowl game, and that's where Devin Waters' freshman season would end. Devin Waters would have a great individual freshman season as he led the team in tackles and also was top 3 in tackle for losses. He looks to improve in his sophomore year and become a much better rounded player.